Good afternoon and welcome to the September 18th, 2023 Community Services and Parks Commission meeting. Could we have a roll call?
Commissioners Kalfayan,
Present.
Alcazar,
Here.
Sardarbagian,
Present.
Wolfson, President Meek.
Here. And our next item on the agenda.
The agenda for September 18th regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before Friday, September 15th, 2023. Next item is item 2, presentations and appointments. We have today appointment of Youth Commissioners Madrisia Manassian and Shant Kevorkian. Madrisia is running a little late and will join us shortly, but Shant is here with us. I'd like to turn it over to the two commissioners, Commissioner Sardarbagian and Wolfson, to introduce the two student ex officio members that were selected to join the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission.
Thank you very much, Teresa. We were very, very excited to assign a ex officio member to our commission, and we got a great number of candidates, but one of them just stood out like, lightning. His name was Shant Kevorkian. Aside from the numerous, different volunteer work that he's performed, Commissioner Wolfson and I were kind of shocked at how someone of such young age can take so much on and pretty much perfect everything that he touches. So it shows how committed he is, how dedicated he is, and how much of a go-getter he really is. He was very obvious from the second we looked at his resume and we started discussing the matter. And then when he came in, he was just an excellent candidate for this position. I think he is mature way beyond his years. And we're very excited. We were both unanimous in choosing Mr. Kevorkian to join us. So we'd like to welcome him to the front. He's a Crescenta Valley High School grad. He currently attends California State University at Northridge. He will be graduating in 2 years instead of the normal 4 years that everyone accomplishes the goal of getting their bachelor's degree. And like I said, his resume is filled with so many achievements that it's too long to kind of go through. But with that being said, Commissioner Wolfson, do you have any comments about Shant Kevorkian?
No, just, he's an extremely impressive young man, polished, courteous, caring, and we're very glad. My co-commissioner is doing the introduction of Mr. Kevorkian, but I'm equally on board with this selection.
And I think that one thing that's very, very important is we're both hoping that all the kids at home and their parents look into someone like Shant, and community members like Shant become really the heroes of our community as opposed to athletes or actors or whatnot. We need more and more people like Shant to lead the younger generations. So with that being said, welcome aboard, Shant.
Commissioner Wilson, would you like to introduce Madrisia, even though she's not here, so when she gets here, she can go downstairs and be sworn in, and then I'd like to invite the city clerk to swear Shant in since he's here presently.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, my mic's not on. So first of all, I want to say, I want to co-endorse that we had such an impressive slate of applicants, and it was really hard. Commissioner Sardarbagian can verify this. I did actually shed tears during the interviews because I wanted to offer the position to everyone. And so I really want to make it clear, if any of the other kids or students are watching or listening, I want to encourage them to attend the meetings, even if they weren't selected, and participate, and to apply again next year for the position. With respect, it is my honor and privilege to announce that we did select Madrissia Minassian. Madrissia is a sophomore at Glendale High School, and so she's quite young. She has distinguished herself with her courage in speaking up for what she believes in, and her determination and positive attitude, and her desire to improve her community in any way she can. Her recommendation letters noted her sincerity, intelligence, and her concern for others, all of which are very relevant to this commission. Those are yeah, that's what I just said. So with that said, I think we're both pleased that Madrissia will be joining us when she's able to arrive as one of our ex officio members for the coming year. Do you want to add anything at all?
I think it was for the,
Is that her?
Oh.
There she is.
and she arrived. Can I add that?
She missed my intro, unfortunately.
No, it was definitely very, very difficult, and especially, being a high school student as a sophomore, it's a big task to take on to, try to get on a commission such as ours, where you're dealing with so many little aspects of the city. And I think that the more programs that we have and the more young leaders that we're able to grow in our city, it's only going to help our city get better and better. And we're both very glad that all the candidates really, really had the right mindset. They're not scared to speak out. And we believe that they're really going to add to our commission. They're going to help us out, kind of see a different point of view at times. So welcome aboard.
Yeah, just to, oh.
If I may invite both of you up so you could be sworn in, so you could take the seat and join us for the rest of the meeting. Congratulations.
Okay, if you could stand closer to the podium. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Sean Kevorkian,
I, Madrissia Minassian,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties of which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. We have an official city pin for you as a gift. Congrats. There you go. And you're ready to take your seat. I need a signature from Madrissia, so if you could sign, yeah. If you can just sign. My name. Just signature. That's fine. That's your copy. Congratulations.
Next item on the agenda, please.
Next item 2B is recognition of Violet Van Dyck for her scout project Saving the Monarch's Garden planting at Glendale's Narrows Riverwalk. Violet, if I may invite you up to do your presentation. She has a short presentation for you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Violet.
President Meek, if I may. President Meek, members of the commission, good afternoon. As you know, occasionally we get scouts that want to do a project. They reach out to our department and come up with wonderful ideas as to what they like to do and work with us in identifying a facility and the ideal project. Well, Ms. Violet Bandek reached out to our department, and Mr. Bulanikian put her in touch with me. She had a great idea of developing a monarch butterfly garden, similar to what we have down at Adams, similar to what we're doing over at a couple of other facilities. And we thought it was a great idea, and we identified a location at Riverwalk that would be ideal for the project, and put Ms. Violet in touch with our senior staff to identify a location, walk it. I'm gonna let her talk about the process itself. What I will tell you about Ms. Violet, though, I found her to be a professional at a very young age. She has outstanding communication skills. Her emails were very thorough. Somebody applied for a job right now, I'd hire her on the spot. So
Thank you.
she's a true professional, and she did a really great job with the project. I'm going to turn it over to her, let her explain to you what she did.
Truly, thank you so much, Mr. Ponosi. Well, good afternoon. I'm honored to be here tonight, and I'm excited to explain what I did these past 4 months with Mr. Ponosian and the Parks and Rec team. First off, I want to give a big thank you to Mr. Ponosian, Mr. Kambia, and Mr. Takachin. I'm very sorry for the mispronunciation, but they have been nothing but extremely resourceful and it's very helpful these past 4 months. So truly, thank you so much to them. Okay, so, I'm sorry. For my Eagle Scout project, I decided to focus on something that is very important, that is really ecologically important. The monarch butterflies have recently been facing sorry, I'm really nervous, I don't know why. They have been facing habitat loss, so with this, I decided to plant milkweeds alongside the Glendale Narrows Riverwalk. We chose this location to also beautify our Glendale and bring awareness to the butterflies. With this, I got in contact with Mr. Ponosian about 4 months ago, and we decided the perfect location for these monarchs. And with this, the city has granted us 60 feet of land. To embark on this project, we chose to plant over 60 milkweeds, and we spread out 5,000 seeds through on the land and to individuals. Above presented are the tools that the city provided our volunteers with to make the project run more efficiently. So through the project, we planted these milkweeds, and we brought awareness to the butterflies that are currently endangered. This is the planting process. I really don't know, I'm nervous, I'm very sorry. So we planted, and during the course of the project, I was actually really surprised along with the volunteers. We found that a lot of residents stopped, especially bicyclists, stopped and were expressing appreciation. They were all very thankful that we're beautifying the Riverwalk, along with helping our environment and our monarchs that are endangered. We planted, this is one of the bicyclists who stopped. She actually said that she feels unsafe on the Riverwalk because she has seen like homeless. However, now that we're planting, she said that she hopes that this will all change and bring new life and more individuals to the Riverwalk. Attracting more individuals means a safer environment and a tranquil space for people to exercise. After the project, we checked up weekly. Me and my family and volunteers go to check up on the project to make sure everything's okay. The irrigation is working, everything is running smoothly. Right now, this is what we see. We see tons of monarch larvae, and we're very excited for them to enter their pupa phase, or their cocoon phase. So we're really excited for this project. We also created an Instagram where we're gonna start posting daily reminders and just like daily updates of the monarchs. And then in our near future, Mr. Planosian has been extremely helpful and is allowing for a sign to go up for residents to know more about the monarch butterflies. So when they pass by, they see our beautiful 60 feet of land that's all organized, and this sign that explains more about them. So we're truly very excited, and thank you so much for everything. Thank you. I'm sorry.
We have a certificate of appreciation
Thank you.
from the Community Services and Parks Department for Violet Van Dyck for her Scout project, Saving the Monarchs Garden Planting in the Glendale Narrows Riverwalk. I'd like to present that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing that so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. Can we?
No, great job. I think the idea behind it and the fact that it's going to bring more life and more people over there, we hope that you're constantly going to check up on it and that Instagram page is going to grow, and then maybe plan some other stuff too. So good job. And don't ever be nervous. Just breathe. Everything will be okay.
Okay, next item on the agenda, please.
Next is 2C, introduction of new or promoted CSP employees. I'd like to invite up Seva Garbedian, who will introduce one of our new supervisors.
Good afternoon, President Meek, members of the commission. My name is Seva Garbedian, Community Services Manager with the department. I oversee the community centers and the programming out of those community centers. Just about 3 weeks ago, she started her third week. We hired Nicole Sanderson. Nicole Sanderson is a community services supervisor, and she's going to be overseeing the day-to-day operations of Pacific Community Center and the programming out of that facility, as well as our mobile recreation packages, which includes our LED screen, our climbing wall, and our party on the go packages. So Nicole's with us today. Nicole comes to us from Michigan, from the city of Gladstone. She has over 22 years of experience working in Parks and Rec. She was formerly the department director for that small town of about 4,700 people. And what stood out when we were interviewing Nicole is Nicole doesn't have any kind of apprehension for doing any type of work. So during the interview process, she was telling us how she needed to get certain certificates because the city that she used to work out of needed to have a fireworks spectacular for 4th of July, but they didn't have a vendor on board. So she went and got her license and certificate to light up the fireworks. Fortunately, nobody died, right, Nicole? In addition to busting out various hand tools and equipment to do weed whacking or replace sprinkler heads, no job was too big or too small for Nicole. So we appreciate that, especially at Pacific, where there's a lot of turnover and a lot of programs. So please join me in welcoming Nicole Sanders.
Hello, my name is Nicole Sanderson, and I am extremely excited to be in Glendale. I'm excited to be back to work. I did take a little bit of a hiatus from my job in Gladstone, sent my last child off to school, so I do have a lot of free time. Looking forward to it. The staff so far has been wonderful. The community has been very welcoming, very much different than like Huntington Beach. You know, it's very, very familiar already to me. So I'm looking forward to doing whatever I can to improve on an already excellent program.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
President Meek, I actually have a couple of announcements to make as well. I'd like to invite Mr. Kimo Kambia to introduce one of our new staff. Following him will be Mr. Chris Peplo to introduce a newly promoted supervisor.
Good afternoon, President Meek, members of the commission. I'm Kimo Cambia, Senior Park Services Manager. I'm here today to introduce you to our new hourly groundskeeper one, Mr. Jose Moncada here. Jose comes to us from a variety of jobs that he's held in the past, but most notably the MASH program from the city of Pasadena. During his 2-year tenure with Pasadena, he had the pleasure of working with a variety of people from different trades who had been employed by the city for many years. He learned how to safely work with various tools and handheld equipment used in landscape maintenance and gained an extensive amount of knowledge and experience in municipal park maintenance. A few of the highlights from his time in Pasadena were that he was trained in the use of a riding mower, whereby he would mow the turf on the street medians. He was also trained in the use of chainsaws in order to cut up fallen limbs or do some light pruning. He also assisted in homeless encampment cleanups, whereby he learned the value of using proper personal protective equipment in order to keep oneself safe while working in and around environmental hazards. These are all great examples of the qualities that we look for when recruiting for our groundskeeper positions here in the city of Glendale. Jose's only been with our team for about 4 weeks now, but we can already see that he possesses a solid work ethic. He shows up to work every day on time and is ready to get started immediately. He works diligently throughout his day to complete routine maintenance tasks wherever he may be assigned, and when he is finished, he never hesitates to ask if there's anything more that he can do. He is always eager to work, which probably comes from the fact that he also works on his own private gardening route on his days off from his job here with the city of Glendale. For Mr. Moncada, his life does not completely revolve around his work. He's married and has a daughter. He enjoys hiking, playing tennis, and playing guitar. He also finds time in his busy schedule to take boxing lessons as well as to be a soccer coach. Most importantly, no matter how busy his life gets with work and hobbies, he always reserves Sunday nights to enjoy doing some karaoke with his wife and daughter. So far, Jose's been doing a great job here in park maintenance, and we are happy to present him to you as our new hourly groundskeeper one, Jose Moncada.
Thank you, Jose. Welcome to Glendale.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Welcome.
First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for having me here, and thank you for Kimo for being a great supervisor and showing leadership and always being there and asking if we have any questions. And honestly, it's a big transition from Pasadena, but so far the city has been good. The employees, my coworkers have been amazing. I hope to learn a lot from them and continue growing in the city and doing right by the city and making the city look as best as possible, good as possible. I'm sorry. And well, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to Coco, and good luck on your new position in Pasadena. And yeah. And, well, anyways, thank you guys. I hope you guys have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Chris Peplow. I'm the Park Services Manager. I'm here to introduce to you Francisco Montano as our new Park Maintenance Supervisor. Paco, sorry, I'm going to refer to him as Paco, that's what we call him. He's been with the city since 2007. He started at the Civic Auditorium. He was there for 2 years. Then he went on to being a building repairer for the Parks Department. And he was there, became an irrigation tech with me in 2013, and then became senior irrigation tech in 2019. And he's an amazing worker. He gets a lot done. He really takes care of a lot of our infrastructure out there in the parks, and we are very lucky to have him. So I'm glad to be able to get him, promote him up to park maintenance supervisor, where he can oversee a lot more, because he's more than capable of it. Good thing about Paco is that he grew up here in Glendale. He went other side of town from me. We both grew up here in Glendale. I was way ahead of him, but way ahead of him. But he grew up here, and he still lives here with his wife and his 3 daughters. So I'd like to introduce you to Francisco Montano.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Good afternoon. Man, it's been 15 years that I've been on this this mission working for the city of Glendale. And man, 15 years, how time flies. But I told myself when I first started working for the city of Glendale, while I was praying actually before I got hired, hoping that I would get the position, but I told myself that my main goal and my objective to have working as a city employee would be making a difference every day when I come to work, whether it's for the parks or the city itself. Fast forward now 15 years, that's still my same goal. When I come into work, make sure to check my emails, refer to my guys and see what we have planned for the agenda of the day, and get out there in my truck and make a difference for the city. And as long as I continue working for the city of Glendale, I will continue to put 100% of my time for the city of Glendale. That's it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
President Meek, members of the commission, I would like to invite Judy Velasco, our Workforce Development Administrator. She has one employee that she would like to introduce.
Hi, good afternoon, President Meek, members of the commission. My name is Judith Velasco. I'm happy to introduce our new Workforce Development Manager, Melissa Yanessian. Melissa has been with the city since 1999, and she knows every aspect of operations at the Verdugo Job Center. She started off at our assessment unit, but has since really been masterful in grant management of all the grant projects. As you're aware, we manage over 20, sometimes 30 grant projects, and Melissa is responsible in overseeing all those from A to Z. Most recently, she coordinated the City of Glendale's job fair under the Tech Week. It was under her leadership that was such a successful event with over 300 attendees, over 14 employers, and that's just a couple of duties that Melissa's responsible for. She comes to work with a positive can-do attitude. Any new grant project we receive, she's more than willing to accept and take forward and make sure it's successful. And it's honestly under her leadership and her role that we've been a successful organization. She is well known in the state and get calls regularly from other employment centers asking for her advice and counsel about, how did you do it, Melissa? Why are, you're so successful. So we're very lucky to have her. So it's my pleasure to introduce Melissa Yanessian as a Workforce Development Manager.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I started here when I was 10. Back in 1999, so no. I just want to thank you and thank the leadership for this opportunity. I did come to this position right out of college as a real job, and I was like, I'll only be here for a few years, and then I'll just move, and here I am 20 plus years later, so I don't think I'm going anywhere. But I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, very much. Next on the agenda.
Next item, D, recognition of outgoing Deputy Director of Community Services and Parks, Coco Panosian. I want to cry as I say this.
Thank you, President Meek, members of the commission. To be honest, I don't know where to start, so I'm just going to jump right in and talk about Coco and recognize him for all the work he's done for the city of Glendale the last 20 years. But I do like to announce, as we've all heard, Coco has accepted a position with the city of Pasadena as their new Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services. Coco will be starting, his last day here with the city is this coming Thursday, September 21st, and he will be starting his new position in Pasadena the first week of October. Just a brief background, Coco did start with the city in February of 2003 as an administrative assistant. He worked his way up to administrative analyst in May of 2004. And in 2012, with the retirement of the former Park Services Administrator, he was promoted to Senior Park Services Manager. And then in 2015, he was promoted to, once again, to Park Services Administrator. And then when I became director of the department, I was given the opportunity to restructure the department. And with that restructuring, he was promoted to Deputy Director of Park Services, in charge of parks planning as well as the park maintenance section, and that occurred in 2018. Just to highlight a few important projects that Coco worked on, he restructured the park services section and created the project crew. You met one of the supervisors, being Paco, or Francisco Montano. He developed and implemented the city's first integrated pest management manual. He implemented the citywide centralized irrigation control system. He worked with the consultant on a life cycle analysis on artificial turf. Even though he conducted his own analysis, we were asked by City Council to work with a consultant, a sustainability consultant, which we did, and conduct a second life cycle analysis on artificial turf. He also worked with American Green Zone Alliance and made all of our park facilities American Green Zone certified. So now we are working on replacing all of our handheld gas-powered equipment into battery-operated. That project should be completed, I believe, within the next couple weeks. We've purchased all of the equipment, and I know Coco was very instrumental with that moving forward. And he also oversaw a number of planning and construction projects, including playgrounds, and including the first all-inclusive playground and outdoor fitness equipment, the Shane's Inspiration. And he continues to work with the Park Services staff to maintain our 36 parks and facilities, or 47 parks and facilities in 36 parks, and provided great service to the community in Glendale. On behalf of the city and our department, I would like to congratulate Coco on his new position, and thank you for all your hard work and dedication that you have provided the last 20 years. I would also like to thank the Park Services staff, his management team, Kimo Cambia, Dennis Gondetti, and Chris Peplo, on your continued support and moving the Park Services section forward. I know I would like to announce, I guess this is time to announce too, that Chris Peplo will be acting Park Services Administrator, assisting me in the daily management of the Park Services section until we permanently fill Coco's position. But with that being said, congratulations on your new position as Director of Pasadena. I know you're only a city away, so we'll definitely keep in touch. And thank you for all that you've done for the city.
Thank you.
Coco, I'd like to read this little certificate. The City of Glendale recognizes Coco Panosian with gratitude for your outstanding service to the Community Services and Parks Department and the City of Glendale at large for over 20 years. I would like to present this.
Can we have all the commissioners go down, please? Thank you. We will definitely call you.
Before we completely move on, I just want to say congratulations on this change for yourself, but I'm going to miss you an awful lot. And I have a lot of gratitude for the fact that I was able to serve on this commission during your time here. And but it's in the natural course of events for exceptional people to get exceptional opportunities. So with regret, Pasadena's gain is our loss. So thank you again.
I'd also like to add a little bit. First of all, I noticed that your last day is on Thursday, but you're starting on the 1st, so I think it gives you another 5-6 days to kind of stay on board. And I'd like to invite for you to consider that. I think the one thing that I learned very quickly is, as advanced as AI has gotten, Coco was our AI here. Every time I had a question about anything that was going on, I would reach out to him, and he would actually read my mind before I even typed anything out to him. So we really appreciate you. We definitely are going to miss you. And good luck. And come back.
Thank you very much, Coco.
Yeah, I wanted to add a little something. Everything that my fellow commissioners said, absolutely true. I think we have very exceptional leaders in this department specifically. And if anything that we've heard today from some of the folks that we've hired or some of the people that have been in this department for years, right? They are really able to thrive because of our leaders. And I think Deputy Director Panosian has really been an example of that. And your passion and kindness and just willingness to work and keep an open mind with some of my ideas, my crazy ideas, has really been amazing. So thank you.
Coco, I personally will miss you a lot. I know you from a long time since you were college, and I always admire you how fast you grow, and you serve this community so much. And every time I used to come here, I was always listening to you, how much you did to this community. Thank you. Congratulations. God bless you.
I can't add to what others have said, but in the past and all the work that we've done together for the Parks Department has been very fulfilling to me, and I'm sure to you, and I wish you much luck and success in your future venture.
Thank you, President Meek, members of the commission, Onig, and the team. I will not take time to speak today. I'll save that for Wednesday because we have a full agenda, and I can speak for hours on anything, especially myself. So with that, I just want to express my gratitude for your support and your patience with me if, at times I had to say, sorry, that idea doesn't really quite work. But it's always been in the best interest of the city and, the expertise I bring from my team. And again, our success, my success, department's success is a result of the team out in the field. So, I owe everything to my team. So on Wednesday, when we're doing my little farewell, I'll say, change my mind, Teresa. I will say about 2 words at that time. But for now, I appreciate the sentiments and thank you very much. I will miss this commission. I will occasionally watch it, so just to see what's going on. But thank you again.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item 3, upcoming council agenda items.
Thank you, President Meek, members of the commission. We have quite a few things coming up next month. Starting tomorrow, we have one report for the City Council, Community Service and Parks regarding proposed Habitat Conservation Fund grant application for wildlife area activities, nature education program at Stone Barn Nature Center, and trail signage for 3 Glendale parks, one being the Sports Complex, Brand Park, and Deukmejian Park. On September 26th, joint meeting, we have 2 items. Funding recommendations by the Glendale Continuum of Care Board for submission of the Glendale COC funding application to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development as part of the 2023 COC Notice of Funding Opportunity Competition. Second item is reprogramming of Community Development Block Grant Community Agency Capital Improvement Project funds from fiscal year 2021-2022 and fiscal year 2023-2024 from Home Amendment RA chapter. On October 10th, we have a City Council report for the Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act funds from the State of California Employment Development Department for the Glendale Youth Alliance and the City of Burbank. And our second item is our Youth at Work funds from the Los Angeles County Department of Economic Opportunity for the Glendale Youth Alliance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda.
Next item is oral communications. And we do not have any speaker cards or callers outside of the dog park item, so.
Okay. Okay, and then we'll move on to the next item.
I'm sorry, you know what, I think I may have missed, item 4 is commission and staff comments. So I took the items out of order, but commission and staff comments, if you have any.
Are there? Okay. John?
If this is the right time, I'd like to just thank the commission and Commissioner Sardarbegian and Wilson for the amazing interview process. It was so exciting to be able to take part in this and be part of the leaders of Glendale. I think it's important to get individuals such as ourselves involved, the youth, who will be the next leaders. And it's just humbling to be able to sit on this dais with you all. I'm so honored and humbled. And thank you for the time and for your amazing words for my introduction. It was not deserved, but I appreciate it. I thank you very much, and I want to thank Violet, even though she left, for the butterfly project. They are my grandma's favorite animal, butterflies. So thank you for that, and I'm sure our city will be more beautiful because of it. So thank you.
Did you want to say something?
Okay, well, I just wanted to say thank you. This is my first time, so, I'm not that intelligent yet, but I have a lot to learn. I don't have much to say. I just wanted to thank you, and the interview, well, obviously went really well, and I have a lot to show you guys, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we can move on. Oh, I thought you were done.
Yeah. Commissioner Wilferson, I want you to hold your tears because there are other opportunities in this community that the young people can go and apply for. And I will encourage them to go to different nonprofit organizations and work there and be helpful to the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item.
Item 6, consent items. 6A, approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting held on August 21st, 2023. I do have one correction. Commissioner Alcazar did approve action item 7D, citywide public art request for qualifications, which was a motion to recommend that the city council approve inclusion of Fremont Park splash pad and the Palmer Park basketball court mural in the citywide public art request for qualifications. So with that modification, if there is a motion for approval.
I move to approve.
A second.
We have roll call?
Commissioners Alcazar?
Yes.
Kalfayan?
Yes.
Sardarbegian?
Yes.
Wolfson?
Yes.
President Meek?
Yes.
The two ex officios will abstain from this meeting.
Okay, next item.
Next item is item 7, action items. At 7A is dog park feasibility study. 7A1, motion approving the draft dog park feasibility study report. And number 2 is motion recommending a location or locations for a dog park to the city council and asking city council to direct staff to engage the services of design consultant to prepare design alternatives and cost estimates for subsequent commission and council consideration.
Before you get started, may I just ask what the order will be for public comment, just so the audience is aware and we're all on the same page?
Thank you for the question, President Meek, members of the commission. We do have a short presentation, so Joe will hand it off to the consultant who's here to do a presentation, and then we'll take the cards, and we do have one caller on the phone so far. So we'll take the cards first, unless President Meek wants to do it differently, so up to you. Okay.
Great. Well, good evening, President Meek, commissioners. I'm here to speak on item 7A, again, the report for the dog park feasibility study. The staff recommendation is that the Parks, Recreation and Community Services Commission adopts a motion approving the draft dog park feasibility study report and recommends location or locations for a new dog park or parks to the city council and asking City Council to direct staff to engage in services for design consultants to prepare design and cost alternatives for subsequent commission and council determination or in consideration. So before I turn it over to Zachary Muting with RJM Consulting, I'll provide a brief overview of the background on this item. So the motions around a new dog park came to City Council back in May 2021, where council directed staff to explore the possibility of providing a dog park in one of the existing city parks or city-owned open spaces. In October of 2021, city staff presented 3 locations to council. They were Pelanconi Park, Brand Park, and City Park Lot 11. City Council, after reviewing the report, recommended removing Brand Park at that time and conducting a community outreach for feedback on 3 potential locations. That was for Pelanconi Park, Parking Lot 11, and Glendale Community College, the South, also known as the Glendale campus. In January 2022, Community Services and Park staff held a virtual community outreach meeting. 32 members attended, and they provided mostly positive comments in support of a dog park. In terms of location, they did prefer the parking lot 11 with the majority of votes, 25 votes going for that site. In February 2022, based on that community feedback, this commission provided staff direction to go to council and recommend a new dog park location, recommending parking lot 11 based off the community feedback. And then in April 5th, 2022, Community Services and Park staff did go to council and got approval for City Parking Lot 11 as a location for a dog park, and directed staff to engage in design services. But then again, in October in 2022, City Council also asked for a report, basically a feasibility report on Palmer Park, also Brand Park, and the GCC site. And based off that direction, staff went again in December 2022, released an RFP to develop those design proposals for Parking Lot 11 and perform the feasibility study. And then in March of this year, council did approve of hiring on RJM Consulting to evaluate the feasibility of potential dog parks at 3 potential locations, and that was at Brand Park in North Glendale, and then in South Glendale, Palmer Park and Glendale Community College, the Garfield campus. And then we're told to hold off on approving a contract for Parking Lot 11 until after the feasibility report was completed. And so in May of 2023, we did kick off that feasibility study. And so with no further ado, I'll turn it over to Zachary Muting with RJM Design to go over the feasibility study report.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here to present to you tonight. This study represents what Joe had mentioned earlier there, but all the outreach that we conducted as well as the site analysis. I'll try and be as brief as possible and to the point. There is a lot of data to cover through this, but there was also, this supplements the report that was submitted as well. I will say it's a pleasure getting to know the communities that we work within. As we go through this, we see a lot of passion through the communities and a lot of amazing opportunities and ideas that have been presented. We've collected a number of them and shared them through this report, and I'll go through them tonight. As Joe had mentioned, RJM Design Group was retained to evaluate 3 specific locations: North Glendale Brand Park, south of the Tea House, South Glendale Palmer Park, community garden there, as well as South Glendale Community, the Glendale Community College campus, the GCC campus. You'll hear me refer to that several times tonight. As we go through this, the first part we'll go through some of the dog park minimum qualifications. What is a dog park? What does a dog park need to have? Before we can assess anything, we set some minimum ground rules. We look at the existing conditions. We'll go through the extensive community outreach process that was conducted to evaluate some of these sites, the site assessments themselves, and then ultimately our recommendations. Beginning with the dog park. The dog park design is subjective at the very beginning. It depends on a lot of what the community is looking for. a lot of what the local community is looking for and what those dog owners are looking for within a particular site. RGM has designed a number of dog parks, all of them varying sizes, elements, terrain, topography over the number of years. Whenever we do dog park designs, dog park feasibilities, we make sure we go out to the community. So it's beginning with knowing that a dog park is subjective. We want to make sure that it ensures a defined sense of space. One of the key goals is that it fits within the community fabric, anywhere we put it. The dog park must fit the existing site, land uses, existing amenities, community desires, and demands. When we look at these dog parks, we want to look at minimum recommendations. Is it large enough? Minimum dog parks include areas for first-timers, individual dogs to get used to dog parks, small dog areas, and large dog areas. Generally, we recommend about 1 acre minimum size, having parking availability, transportation options, including neighborhood access, trail access, so that way dog owners can get to the site, both by walking or driving. And then access to utilities. The majority of sites have access to utilities. However, we do design dog parks in areas that are undeveloped. So when we assess different sites, different areas, we look at those utility availabilities. So utilities do come into play. When we look at an existing location, an existing site for possible dog park implementation, we'll look at that size. I mentioned earlier, that 1 acre minimum size. Larger is better because we want to make sure we distribute the use of a dog park. Think of a soccer field. Soccer fields have a lot of wear right in the beginning of the goal area. That's where a lot of the intense use happens, just like the front of our couch in our living rooms. A lot of intense use there. At least in my house, I have 2 young boys. So we want to make sure we maximize the distribution of use within a facility. So a larger dog park is better, but again, we want to make sure we balance it on the use or demand that each individual city has. We want to make sure that there's access to neighborhoods or multi-transportation opportunities, that there are not displaced amenities as a result. One of the things we go through when we assess an existing site, is there something that might be removed as a result of putting another item in there? We want to have a net loss. So if one element is going to be replaced somewhere else, that's a replacement, but if something is going to be lost without the understanding that's going to be replaced, then there is a loss element there. We also look at the availability or implementation of noise buffers. What are the surrounding sites? What are the surrounding land uses? What is the proximity to the site or specific area of the dog park? Are there areas or distance enough to add in noise barriers? Restroom availability, parking availability, shade, whether it be existing shelters, trees, or something we can implement later. Then lastly, site topography. Is it on a hillside or is it on a relatively level area that we can design a dog park within? Looking at some of the existing conditions, I just want to look at the lay of the land. We did a quick snapshot. There are over 5,000 active dog licenses within the city, and you can see here on the left-hand side of the map there, darker areas, the more dog licenses there are. On the right-hand side, the map identifies the existing dog parks within the area or the region. There are 9 of them on here. You can see we've drawn a general service radius around those where people will drive to and access. You notice those are not perfect circles. Kind of amoebas now because we take into condition architectural barriers, freeways, areas where you can't necessarily walk to or it's further than a normal drive distance. So we look at that information through a GIS analysis. You can see there, dog parks are very much a regional amenity. They're not specifically a neighborhood component like a playground would be. However, as we go through, dog parks are becoming more and more common, and those gaps are starting to close up. You see every area outside of those blue areas would be indicated as a gap area for a dog park. One of the things we went through as a team is we evaluated each of the individual sites. Now we shared this information as well with the community when we went out to do a workshop process as well as the online videos. We made sure to share what we had seen on site. So that way, when we asked people about specifically Brand Park or the GCC site, we understood what we were looking at and what the community saw we were looking at. And I want to just share with you briefly some of those slides here too. We took a photo inventory here. This is North Glendale Brand Park, just south of the tea house there. You can see the site in question. Let me use technology here. Oh, our laser doesn't work. The right-hand side, the white dotted line, that's the area that was looked at for a possible dog park. When we look at these sites, we evaluate some opportunities and constraints. Some of those opportunities and constraints considered were noise mitigation. There's a fence on the left-hand side of that image you can see there, separating a large turf area versus the homes. We would want to consider noise barriers there, as well as to the north on the tea house. There's an existing vehicle intersection there where anybody who came to the site would have to park and walk across the park drive. There is parking on site, which is a positive. There are restrooms on site, which is a positive. The open turf area is a positive. It's relatively undeveloped. There are no existing amenities that we would be displacing. So it has turf and trees. It's an open area. There isn't, say, a playground that would be displaced as if we were to put a dog park in here. So when we look at those items, we look at any existing elements that are there. So it is a large open turf area, relatively flat, has accessibility to parking and the adjacent neighborhoods. The next one we looked at was Palmer Park, South Glendale. Now, this specific element I want to point out is on the right-hand side there, you see the white dashed line. That is not representative of the entire community garden. The entire community garden is the entire triangle piece there. We were looking at utilizing half of that location. So that's what that white dashed line represents. Now, when we looked at this, again, we started to look at what is the access to the neighborhoods, what are some of those elements, such as the restrooms. Restrooms are available on site. There are a number of amenities within here that may or may not conflict with some of those dog park elements, such as the parking is a far distance from the proposed site. You would have to walk your dog through several different elements, exercise stations, open turf play, basketball courts, or playgrounds in order to actually access the potential dog park location. In this particular site, there is existing fencing there that is access controlled to the community garden participants. That is another potential barrier that would have to be contended with. Then displacement of amenities. In this site there would be displacement of amenities. There are reconfiguration opportunities that could happen. Nonetheless, something has to shift. Noise mitigation. At the maximum, there's about 100 feet distance between one end of the triangle there to the other end. So if we were to implement any noise barriers, it would take up quite a bit more of that room. The sites begin to shrink once we start implementing those items. And then proximity to the neighborhood. There is great neighborhood access here. There is parking, and there are trails, walkways to the park. The next one is the South Glendale Community College campus. This is the Garfield campus. This site is undeveloped. There is actually no turf there on this one. If you look at the photographs to the left, a lot of, let's call it native vegetation exists that has been growing because of some of the rains after I took these photographs here. It is gated on the perimeter. It does have parking, so there would be some hours of operation that would have to be evaluated. There is pedestrian circulation. It is accessible by the neighborhood, and it is an undesignated empty space at this point in time. So there are some positives and opportunities here. However, the site itself is very small, coming in at just half an acre. This site, each one of these sites is relatively small in comparison. With some of that information, we went out to the community. One of the things when we assess sites, we look at what the community wants. Workshop 1 commenced on July 31st at Pacific Community Center from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., and it focused on Palmer Park and Glendale Community College. Workshop 2 commenced on August 2nd at the Brand Library, and it focused on Brand Park. We also had online surveys as well as online feedback opportunities for participants. I want to walk through each one of those elements. I look at them all in separate lenses to see what we heard, where we heard it, how often we heard it. So that way we can accurately assess the information coming in from the community. The first workshop, we had 14 participants. As we went through the night, I shared information, the slides, the opportunities, constraints of the park sites, very much like I did here. A little bit longer of a presentation, but again, I'm trying to be as concise and to the point here as possible. Then we asked them a series of questions. We asked them to evaluate the park as we would evaluate it in a similar fashion with some of those opportunities, constraints. And then we also asked them questions such as, do they own a dog? Do they own a large dog? Do they own a small dog? So we could get a sense of what is the community looking for in a dog park based on what they have, how often they go to dog parks, where do they drive to go to dog parks? And what we found, according to these participants, was that the top reason for visiting a dog park was to let their dog run and socialize. Based on the frequency of the participants, we asked the question, how many times would you visit a dog park? Now we take that information qualitatively and assess If people say, I go every day, I go once a week, I go once a year, and we can evaluate that and extrapolate an average trip generation. And based on the information we collected at this, there would be an average trip generation of 72 trips a month. We also found that participants who visit a dog park closest to the city, they visit Griffith Park and Eagle Rock dog parks as some of the most popular. Participants are more willing to go to a dog park if it's closer to their home. We asked the participants, how far would you drive to go to a dog park? And we asked that in increments of several different miles. So we start to be able to gauge how far people are willing to actually drive to a dog park in order to go there. Workshop number 2, we had a lot more attendance. You can see here on the left-hand side, you can see where the attendants are coming in. Every one of our surveys, as we start to collect information, we like to geocode things. At the workshop, we ask people where they're coming from, where they live, so we can start to get a feel for some of the participants. Again, asking the same questions of these participants at this workshop, sharing information with them. What we had heard was similar common elements, similar common threads, I like to call them. According to the participants, the top reason to visit a dog park was to let their dog run and socialize. Again, based on the frequency reported by participants of this workshop, we had an average trip generation of 351 trips a month. Most people do not go to dog parks because they do not live near a dog park. However, the ones that they do go to are Brand Park unofficially, because they do have their dogs. They mentioned that in the survey. But Griffith Park was also one of the most visited dog park locations. Participants, again, of this workshop were more willing to go to a dog park if it was closer to their home. We also had an online survey as part of this project. As we went through, there was a video presentation online, there was a survey online, similar questions to what we'd asked the participants of the workshop. For people who are unable to come to the workshops, they could participate online. We had 187 responses, and according to these participants, the top reason to visit a dog park was, again, to let their dog run and socialize. That we heard the most. Based on the frequency reported by the participants, there's a 637 trip generation possibility per month. Griffith Park, dog park, was the most visited dog park location, just outside the southwest border of Glendale. Participants, again, were more willing to go to a dog park if it was closer to their home. Then what we do is we combine everything. Because all the data was asked similarly, the questions were asked similarly, I look at everything holistically together. In a qualitative analysis, we look at 268 completed surveys, including 187 online, 81 within the workshops, and we see there's comparison to the reasons most participants visit a dog park is to let their dog run and socialize. Based on the frequency reported by the participants, including everything together, there's a trip generation of approximately 1,097 trips per month. Now this is just based on the participants of this survey. Griffith Park Dog Park is the most visited dog park, according to these participants. And then participants, again, are more willing to drive to a dog park if it's closer to their home. We asked another series of questions, and I think it's important to touch on them, is we asked, do you support a dog park at X location? Those opportunities, they could select any of these, one, multiple, or none, included North Glendale Brand Park. Do you support development of a dog park location at the GCC Garfield campus? Do you support the dog park location at the Palmer Park? Or I do support the development of a new dog park, but at another location. And then I do not support the development of a new dog park. You can see here, workshop 1, workshop 2, and the online survey on the left, very similar patterns to when we average everything together on the right-hand side. You can see the majority of responses were, I support the dog park at Brand Park. Participants also supported the dog park at the Garfield campus, as well as at the Palmer Community Park. We did have participants identify they do support the development of dog park, but not at those 3 locations, at another location. And then we did have 34 participants identify they did not support the development of a new dog park. Going through some of the additional information, we took the opportunity to garner information from the participants of what they would be looking in for a dog park. Some of the things they were looking for, majority here on the left-hand side, you can see 184 participants were looking for cleanliness, maintenance. They want to have a nice, clean, well-maintained dog park. They want to have shaded areas, separation for small dog, large dog, size of of the dog park, location of the dog park was also important, so on and so forth as we go down the list. And then you can see here, as we evaluated each of the park sites independently, we also asked the participants of the workshops to evaluate the sites in terms of acreage, access to neighborhoods, potential displaced amenities, noise buffers, restrooms, parking, shade areas, as well as site grade. You can see there's a lot of support in here. People are very passionate. People are very excited about potential of dog park elements. We also had a feedback button. Now the feedback button is unique to the survey in that the feedback button can be submitted multiple times. As of August 13th, at the time of this report, we had received 105 feedback comments. Now, those are 105 feedback comments. This does not necessarily translate into 105 individual responses because you can submit multiple times. So I look at this one in a qualitative analysis where what did we hear? We heard elements such as requests for an alternate location. We heard elements for safety concerns. We had comments such as noise concerns. We had comments that are in support for development of a dog park, as well as comments that were in opposition to the development of a dog park. Reading through all of those comments, we developed a word cloud and we start to collect information in terms of what are we hearing from the community. Based on a qualitative analysis, I think it's important to note, as of today, we checked in again, the feedback button is still live for people. We received an additional 77 comments beyond this report, which we will get into and analyze and see if we hear anything different. Now, the RGM site assessment. When I go through and I look at those sites with my staff and we evaluate it, we look at what are the community desires? What is the RGM assessment? And then what are some comments? More detailed in the report here, I just want to touch on a couple items for each one of these. Brand Park, North Glendale, there was a majority of the majority of participants of our survey supported the development of a dog park there. Residents did express that the dog park at Brand was not appropriate, so we had a balance of opinions in there, looking at all the information qualitatively. There were some concerns about noise, there were concerns about the location of the park. When we look at the park, because of its size, if we were to add in all the requirements of noise barriers, of the proximity of the parking, the proximity of the tea house to the north end, we'd have to design in all those noise barriers. That site would go from 0.9 acres to much smaller. It's a smaller site. So when we look at this, it is a very diverse park, which is good. However, it's a small location. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Palmer Park, when we looked at that site, there was a desire for a dog park from the community at Palmer Park site. Most of the comments were favorable. Some of the community comments did talk about limiting the dogs to small dogs only. When we went through the assessment, there was a number of potential displacement for amenities, as well as conflicting elements as you walk your dog in. That experience from the car to the park itself would have to cross through several other elements, such as basketball, playgrounds, open space, exercise equipment, that are not necessarily conducive with dog parks. The GCC site, a lot of the community responses were favorable. However, again, when we looked at that site location, it was undeveloped, yes, but it was very small. So we're dealing with a lot of small elements, a lot of small site locations here. When we go through, something that plays into the discussion quite heavily with us is the community usage. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of the presentations where we talked about that usage pattern. High usage will require high maintenance. Maintenance was one of the elements the community was looking for, was a well-maintained dog park facility. So we had asked, as we go through some of that participant data, there's an even split of large and small dog owners. This is a design element that we want to consider, large and small dog places at a dog park. Now talking about size again. Just to give you a reference on size, one of the things we do in an individual full dog park is we have large and small dog park areas, but we also have an individual dog park area. That's about 4 to 5 parking stalls. So you can see when we start to talk about an acre in size, we want to make sure there's enough land to allow dogs to run and exercise and socialize with distributing the maintenance. So it's not all condensed down into one area, which increases your maintenance costs. When we look at some of the participant data, the majority of participants visit Griffith Park Dog Park, the most when visiting a dog park. This is a sizable dog park that has large and small dog areas, so we can start to see the recreation patterns of the dog park participants now. The majority of participants identify the top reason for visiting a dog park is to let their dog run and socialize. Again, going back to some of the size elements. More participants will visit a dog park if it's closer to their home. This is a natural element we heard a lot throughout the process. Based on the frequency reported by the participants, everybody together, we would see a potential trip generation of over 1,000 trips a month. Now, again, this is a high demand for a dog park. When we look at all these factors combined, there is significant demand to support the development of a dog park. However, we want to make sure that there is enough size in a specific dog park location to balance the demand. Something that is overutilized can create an adverse maintenance element where you're going to expend a lot of maintenance to keep up with the use of it. You have a lot of people in the community who are very passionate and excited about the possibility of a dog park. We want to make sure that we size it appropriately. The sites that we found did not meet a one size, not one of those sites would fit the entire demand. So as we went through the analysis, there were less than suitable sites to host the demand for the dog park. Now, doesn't mean that sites can't be balanced with mitigation. I touched a little bit on that earlier. Again, if we condense the usage, the mitigation would be significantly increased maintenance demand. If we expand that site size, we can reduce that maintenance demand to more of a balanced site, which we traditionally see within dog park designs. I'm here for any questions or comments.
Just one quick question before we move on. Did you do anything about parking lot 11?
No, that was not part of our study.
President Meek, members of the commission, parking lot 11 was not part of the study that RGM was tasked to do. We had done our own initial review on the community meeting, which was recommended. And as Joe Gonzalez early on mentioned, when council gave us direction to hire RJM to move forward, at that time, they wanted us to hold off on moving forward parking lot 11 until the feasibility was done at these 3 sites. So originally, parking lot 11 was the choice of commission and of council. And when we came back to move forward with construction drawing CDs, which is the more detailed design elements, we were directed to hold on parking lot 11, do the feasibility study of these 3 sites, which was what RGM was tasked with. And then when we go back to council, at commission even, you can either choose that being in the mix to recommend to council for consideration yet again. It's not a off the books site. It is just not part of this feasibility study. Hence, it was not discussed in RGM's evaluation.
May I just ask a quick clarification question before I believe we're going to open up for public comment? Does your recommendation include Lot 11 as a project that is moving forward because I believe in the report you said since the sites that were evaluated were smaller and might not meet the demand of about 1,000 trips per month, I believe you recommended that we look at 2 sites because of that. So does that include Lot 11 plus 2 sites, or is that I'm just trying to understand how we can meet the demand for dog park here.
I was not specifically referencing Lot 11, but I did say in the report that in order to meet the demand, you have a lot of demand here within the city that we saw. In order to meet that demand, you're going to have something larger than that 1 acre.
Right.
None of the sites would represent that, so it would either be a larger site or multiple sites. I did not specifically reference Lot 11.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, understood. Thank you.
Answer to that question, President Meek, members of the commission, Commissioner Alcazar, if commission and council decides to go with Lot 11 will be a second site.
Right.
Or even a 3rd site. It all depends on what is decided today and what will take to council after your decision today.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
In my mind, dense areas are mostly in demand of when there are apartments, they're living in apartments and so on. When you say dog park, is it for everyday use or it's just for amusement, like we take our kids to parks once in a while? How is it defined? In my mind, it's not clear.
You have a good point there. Density is a consideration. We do see higher density neighborhoods with dog owners do have a higher demand for dog parks. Now we see in larger rural areas A lot of people will travel to a dog park within up to a few miles to visit a dog park. You saw Griffith Park Dog Park was one of the most visited, and we can see where the information of people came in from, the distribution. It was kind of the maximum range. People would drive to a dog park. That kind of touches on the density. Now, not every dog owner will go to a dog park. It was kind of similar to a playground, if you will, is dog owners will walk their dogs within the communities. They will walk their dogs in areas that have trails more frequently. They will also go to dog parks. More typically, we say that on weekend usage. So in higher density areas that don't have those trails or those neighborhood connections or those open areas, you will see a higher dog park usage. In more rural areas, you will see a lower dog park usage.
So it's mainly for amusement and socializing for the dogs than everyday use.
According to this community, to let their dogs run and socialize, absolutely. And that's why local community input is so important, because not one model will fit for every community. It's why we go through this process to evaluate what are the dog owners of this community going to utilize it for.
Point of order, are we going to hear the public comments first and then will commission make comments after that, or?
Yes.
Then I would like to advocate for the public to make their comments now.
Okay, is there still only one phone call? Wow,
President Meek, we have 4 right now.
okay. I'd like to hear from the people that came out to the audience first, and then go through those, and then we will go to the phone calls, and after that, we'll go for our discussion. I'd like to do it how many? We have 11 cards? 10? 9?
I think you have 9.
9 cards?
You can go ahead and call them up.
Okay.
As-
We'll start with George Sadakian.
President Meek, just to clarify, you did before the meeting say 3 minutes. I just want to verify, are we still
Yes,
giving
we're
each speaker
staying with
3 minutes?
3 minutes each.
Okay.
And that'll be, after George, we'll go to Carmen Bagadi.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George, and I live in city of Glendale more than 25 years, and I have a dog almost 16 years. And I live close by to Brant Park, and this is the first time I hear that we want to make a specific park for Glendale, that we need more spaces for people. We have small land, if you compare to Pasadena and Burbank, we have big, but there is a lot of mountains. We need more spaces where human beings can socialize instead of dogs run away and socialize. If we're considering opening a space for dog park, build somewhere away from Brant Park, because it's really nice space so people can get together, communicate, socialize. Dogs, I take my dog to Brant Park, I walk, I put it on the leash, and they communicate. We don't need to take big space and say, dog, communicate with the other dog, and people stay away from that area. I know dog parks, there's Griffith Park and Silver Lake Dog Park. If you pass by, it's all dirty and dusty. If you want to make Brant Park dirty and dusty, I think that's not a good solution for our city. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Carmen, and that'll be followed by Marta Phillips.
Hi, my name is Carmen. I'm a next door neighbor of the park. And if you live there and you hear the dog's noise, which is not the dog park yet, drives you crazy. I don't know whose idea is this to put the dog park next to our residence, which is surrounded by the houses. And there is a Japanese tea garden, which is very beautiful, calm. People do their wedding ceremony. They do a lot of event over there, which I don't know, being the park there is gonna be suitable. Also, the dogs are out of their leash, and I had a dog. My dog passed away in May. I always walked her 2 times a day with the leash around the park So let them come and walk their dog around the fence, like around the park. Why we have to have a dog park with that noise and like the gentleman said, with the dirt? No one picks up their dog poop, and like the sign says, there is no poop fairy, like, oh, and there is a sign for that. And I'm against putting the dog park next to my house and my neighbors. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Marta Phillips, followed by Joel Vanderspeck.
Good afternoon, President Meek, commissioners, and city staff. My name is Marta Phillips, and I live about a mile from Brand Park. I've lived in the city of Glendale since 1987 and have enjoyed the beauty and tranquility that the park provides. Please consider my opposition to the development of a dog park at the Brand Library. The Brand Library, its surroundings, the tea house, the doctor's house, the park, and the entire grounds represent one of the most beautiful, historic, peaceful, and elegant civic centers in the entire country. Brand Park is truly a gem in our jewel city that all began with the vision and generous donation from Leslie Brand in 1925. The facilities have been frequented and enjoyed by all walks of life in our city for many decades, and to this day, Miradero remains a rare pride of Glendale. The notion of adding a dog park in the middle of this gem is very concerning. The resulting noise and added traffic congestion alone will ruin the tranquility of such a special and beautiful environment. The proposed proximity of a dog park to the tea house will completely disrupt any functions such as weddings or musical events. The weddings butt right up to the acreage of where the dog park is proposed. Also, the likely increase in insects and flies will be disruptive to families picnicking in adjacent grounds. I'd like to add that there may be parking and restrooms on the site, but they're limited and they are already impacted with the current amount of activities, with the weddings, birthday parties, and the games. People also come to hike and go to the Brand Library to check out books and do research. Any city in the world would be envious of such a gorgeous, high-quality, historic civic facility such as Brand Park. Such well-planned facilities take many, many years and resources to develop, nurture, and preserve. Please don't get me wrong, I definitely support a dog park, but not at Brand Park. Please consider also the irreparable damage that this will do to such a rare environment as Brand Park. And I think it's really important that we all ask ourselves, what would Leslie Brand think of this proposal? And I might just ask a question, is I'm disappointed that I did not know about the meetings and workshops that were conducted. And I'd just like to ask.
I'm sorry, but your time is up.
Thank you.
Joel Vanderspeck, followed by Michael Belzer.
Good afternoon, President, Commissioners. Congratulations to the new student commissioners. Exciting role for you. I'd like to continue actually where my neighbor finished. First of all, I'd like to say my home backs onto Brand Park. I'm a director of a nonprofit organization. I've sacrificed greatly to purchase a home in Glendale. I'm so happy there. I have 2 young children. My son is 9 years of age, and my daughter is 9 years of age, and my daughter is 11. We go to the park 2 or 3 times a week. We love Brand Park. And our concern is, Zach talked about displacement. There will be a great displacement taking place because it's the only open space now in Brand Park. 1 acre of space. Everything's cordoned off. They opened another baseball diamond, which is great for the kids, but it's fenced off, 2 baseball diamonds. Then the library, it's great. Then the kids area. The 1 acre space is the last acre of space in Brand Park that's usable for family gatherings. The family gatherings that spill over on the weekends, they need the acre of space. The kids camps in the summertime fill up that acre of space. People sunbathing, reading, enjoying the serenity of Brand Park. And you know, I wanted to just say also where she left off about this process. Our neighborhood is not informed that this is taking place. We've gone door to door. No one knows about this. I like to ask Zach to be transparent about the advertising that took place. It was a picture with dogs inviting dog owners. I have a research doctorate. Any researcher would understand that the numbers are flawed because the sample size was a sample size primarily of dog owners, not our community, not our neighborhood. So these numbers are flawed, and another neighbor of mine is going to present the real numbers because we have gone door to door, and I had a lemonade stand with my children yesterday on Mountain Street. Everyone we spoke to is against the dog park. So the numbers that were represented saying that majority of people are in favor of it, it's not true. The displacement of 1 acre of space for Brand Park will never be returned to our community. The children will be displaced. My children will not have a place to run freely. Right now, in the other areas, they're bumping into fences. And our other neighbors that we've spoken to in our community are deeply concerned. We have one neighbor that says, my living room faces the area where the proposed dog park will take place. As it stands now, I exit my front door and find dog excrement all over my front lawn on a regular basis, and my husband and I have to pick it up. What does that mean? Dog owners that visit the area don't care about my lawn, my neighborhood, and every one of my neighbors has had this happen to them too. Please don't let Brand Park be turned into a dog park. Keep it for the people of Glendale. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Belzer, followed by Raiden. I'm sorry, I can't read the last name.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Michael Belzer. I'm the president of Friends of Choseon, and we manage the Tea House for the city of Glendale. We handle all the monthly cultural activities. We are also in opposition to having a dog park take over that beautiful 1 acre of grass that is there. It's always been there. Whenever I go there, and I go up to the park 3 or 4 times a week, I see families there, kids playing, lots of organized sports and activities and games, soccer being played. It's an amazing spot, and it does kind of flow right into the tea house and the garden, which is separated only by a fence, and then continues up to the doctor's house. So that whole strip is really considered one awesome area for people to enjoy when they get there. Parking is a big issue up there, especially on the weekends, and it's the thing that impacts our events more than anything. I was up there just this last Sunday to do an event, and I always get there early. By 7:30 in the morning, both decks of parking were completely filled. And so throughout the day, people have to come in and drive around and just see if they might get lucky to get a space. So the parking is definitely an issue. I totally second everything that I've heard so far, and I don't need to repeat any of it. It's just that I'm a dog lover myself. That's how I found the tea house, walking my dog Lucy. And there are all sorts of people utilizing the park to walk their dogs, socialize with their dogs. We go up into the hiking trails, and responsible dog owners do pick up after themselves. But we are definitely in opposition to having that area turned into a dog park. Thank you.
Thank you. Raiden Vetrana. Okay. Holly Keenan. Followed by Carol Bruschka.
Good afternoon, President Meek, Commissioners, and City staff. My name is Holly Keenan, and I'm a board member with Northwest Glendale Homeowners Association. I have a letter from our Board of Directors, Vice President Lawrence Kalfayan, to present to you. You should know that our Northwest Glendale Homeowners Board is unanimously opposed to the proposed dog park location at Brand Park. We've recently surveyed our membership via an online constant contact survey, and we found that our members are 86% opposed to a dog park at Brand. I have also created a change.org petition titled Save Brand Park, and currently there are 607 signatures of residents and people opposed to a dog park at Brand Park. But before I continue, I want you to know I love dogs. I am a lifelong current dog owner, but I also love parks and open space for people. I have lived in Glendale for 27 years, and I'm fortunate to live just one block down from Brand Park on Bel Air Drive. I did attend the August 2nd workshop number 2 at Brand Auditorium, and I was really surprised to learn that the proposed dog park would take all the space below the Chaussee Tea House, all the way down to the Mountain Avenue wall. As defined by the RGM report we just saw, this space would be a displaced amenity. My question and concern is why? Why would the city take over vital and well-used space that is enjoyed by people? I walk through Brand Park almost every day, and I see many people enjoying the West Side Lawn area in so many ways. For example, last weekend as I walked through the park around 9:30 a.m., the parking lot, as Mike mentioned, was already full. In the proposed dog park area, I saw a group of people quietly practicing Tai Chi. I saw a mom with 3 children laying out a blanket and snacks, letting her kids run free and enjoy the beautiful grassy area. There was a couple who were slowly making their way around the perimeter of the West Side Lawn. The man had limited mobility, but he was using the grassy area to work on his fitness. My point here is, at 9:30 in the morning, the proposed dog park area was already serving residents and visitors who need open space. Not all residents in Glendale have backyards, and the West Side Lawn at Brand fills the important need for people to have open and unstructured park space. Additionally, I'm concerned that people who live in the close vicinity to the dog park area have not been made aware of the possibility that the entire West Side Lawn may be turned into a dog park. I myself have done door knocking along Mountain Avenue and the streets below Brand, and I've found that most people are not aware of the dog park. In fact, the closest neighbor to the park at the corner of Mountain and the west entrance had no idea of the dog park until I knocked on her door. As I'm sure you will all agree, Brand Park is a treasure. It is a sanctuary and a special place for our residents and visitors. As proposed, a dog park would drastically change Brand Park, forever reducing usable space for people who use the park to decompress from work and from life. While I understand the desire by some dog owners for a designated dog space, we must consider alternative locations that won't compromise such a cherished public space like Brand Park. How about finding an unused piece of salvage property not attached to a park? There must be numerous other areas within our community where a dog park could be established without sacrificing such a serene environment. Thank you for listening, and thank you all for your service to our community.
Thank you. Carol Bruscia, followed by Alan Durhan.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Carol Bruchet, and I love dogs. I grew up with them and had several as an adult before I took in cats. I'm not going to repeat what has been said because everything that has been said so far is what I would like to say. I just want to say the park is too small. The east side is the children's playground with picnic tables. The middle has 2 youth ball fields, leaving only that one grassy spot that we are talking about for park users. Since the park is so small, which is more important, people or dogs? That's all I'm going to say because everything else has been said, everything I agree with so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan?
President Meek, Commission members, city staff, thank you for letting me speak. I'll be brief because, as Carol Bruchet just said, I agree with everything that's been said up till now, and I don't want to have to reiterate that much of it. But I think the most important part, which has been brought up before, is if we take away the green space in Brand Park, we are losing a valuable amenity that we currently have. It just doesn't make any sense to me to lose an open, green, fairly level park space that's really used by park goers. It's not as if you go to Brand Park and that area of the park is underutilized. You know, people use that open space. You see children playing there, informal sports like soccer, picnics, frisbee games, kite flying, dog walking, social gatherings, and just relaxing in a peaceful green environment. It doesn't make any sense to me to take away existing green space really anywhere in the city and replace it with, I don't know what you call the surface covering for a dog park. It could be wood chips or something else, but it will no longer be green turf. It would make much more sense to me, as Carol said or Holly said, to put it in maybe an industrial location, which is currently, like Lot 11, which is asphalt. At least it would be turned into soil and some kind of natural covering. But please don't take away our open green space in Brand Park. We'll never be able to replace it. Thank you.
Thank you. Delma Kirch, followed by Chloe Kaffel.
Good afternoon, Commissioner and members of the the Commission. My name is Delma Kirch. I live in Glendale. I've been living in my house for 35 years. I own a dog. The dog walks me to the park every day, and I love it. We love the park. And I think that because the comments here from the proposal, who wouldn't love it? That's why it's the primary space that they have picked, because it's a luxury, valuable real estate. But by taking that portion of the park, you're diminishing the value and what the park stands for. It's a historical place. By taking that, you're taking away the value that Mr. Brandt left when he donated that land. Instead of a dog park, maybe what we should do is put statues or something to show the appreciation to Mr. Brandt. Let us not do that, please. Let's keep Brand Park for what it is, a historical, beautiful, peaceful community park. Thank you so much for listening to us, and we appreciate your support. Thanks.
Chloe?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Chloe Kuffel. I'm an urban planner for the City of Glendale, but I've had no involvement in this park whatsoever, except for as an observant resident. I'm a renter here in Glendale, and I have been for many years. And I just wanted to support my strong support for the park in any location you can put it. In my opinion, this is adding an amenity to Brand Park, not taking away or displacing or anything like that. It's making it a more viable space for the entire city to use. And kids and families and dog owners alike can all use it just the same. So I just want you to also consider those of us who don't have yards. I think it would be great to put it somewhere walkable, but I would also be very happy to go to Brand Park with my dog on weekends. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. We can go to the phones now.
Looks like we have 7 callers, so I'll put them through one by one. Patty Silvershire, you're on air with us right now. Are you there? Could you please speak?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Patty, we can. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, I won't take up much time. I just wanted to say I've lived in Adams Hill since 1985, and as you know, the hills around here We had never had a dog park. Recently, within just yesterday, I'm at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm watching a coyote walking up my street, Palmer Avenue, to the corner to Oberlin. And then this morning, 2 friends of mine who own 3 dogs here in Adams Hill knocked on my window. Their dogs always come and get treats for me. And they said they just saw a pack of 6 coyotes this morning on Romulus. This is a huge problem. As many years as I've been here, it's only been this last year now that I have ever seen a coyote actually on my own street. I am so much in favor of Palmer Park and the GCC for 2 reasons. We need a small dog park. We need a large dog park, not a combined dog park. Our community garden, which is at Palmer Park, where I take my dog all the time to just walk around there. People are walking their dogs there all the time, so there is no issue about having to walk through a parking lot or walk down the street. Many people just walk their dogs there. They don't even drive. And to go into that food garden, which in the whole time since it's been established, that community food garden, I have never seen more than 1 person in that garden, and most of the time, there is nobody in that garden. And my suggestion would be that we redesign that garden and give them a little bit of space, and then give a small dog park there so that we can have the small dogs taken care of, and then maybe go to the campus. Since you're saying it's so small, then and you need an acre, well, that would be for a small and large dog park. I suggest you go to the campus and put in a large dog park. There's also at Palmer Park, we have restrooms, we have a lot of shade. And frankly, the last time I was at a dog park was Eagle Rock, and I will never do that again. It was a mixture of large and small dogs, and it did not work at all for my small dog. I've had dogs my entire life that I've lived here in Adamsville. So that's what I'm really very much hoping that we will get here in South Glendale, a dog park for 2 sizes of dogs. So that would be 2 dogs. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. William Moorfield, you're on with Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to call in. I really appreciate that. I wanted to voice my opposition to a dog park in at the Brand Park. I am a neighbor of Brand Park. We bought our house there in 2005. We absolutely love the neighborhood, our neighbors, the community, and the city of Glendale. However, we did not know about this dog park that was imminently being planned because there wasn't enough advertising, as some other people have mentioned here. And since everyone else has spoken about the beauty of the open space, and I also wanted to mention that the Tea Garden has many events there, classical music being played live that wafts over to our garden at our house that's just feet away from the Tea Garden. It's a lovely space. It's a lovely venue for many, many weddings and all kinds of performances, open-air concerts, and so forth. I cannot imagine how a dog park would impact that business and that beautiful venue for so many thousands of people who visit it every year. So I want to give my support to the Tea Garden and that organization as well. However, the one thing I have not heard mentioned yet at this meeting is safety. Dog parks are not a safe venue for dogs. If you go to any veterinarian, as I have done, I've spoken to 4 or 5 veterinarians, and every single one of them has always impressed upon me to not take our dog, we have a dog, by the way, an Australian, to not take our dog to a dog park. They are dangerous. There are owners that are well-meaning, and they rescue dogs that have all kinds of ill temperament, perhaps. They are not trained on how to handle their dogs, or perhaps they think that their dogs are trained and they can control them. But when they set them loose in a fenced-in area, territorial attitudes take over with these dogs, and dog fights break out. I challenge you, or excuse me, I don't challenge you, I urge you to go to YouTube and look up dog park fights and see how many deadly fights occur in dog parks because the owners are unable to control their dogs when they're all mixed in together. You have dogs of every temperament. Look, I walk my dog in that park at least twice a day. We're very close to it, 5 minutes away on foot. And we love that park. I keep our dog on a leash, as is legally required, by the way. And our dog has been attacked twice at that park because people let their dogs off leash. Imagine what's going to happen when you put all these dogs coming from all over, all kinds of training and lack of training, different sizes, whatever it happens to be. I don't hear anything that addresses the safety for the owners and the dogs themselves. I'm telling you, if you allow a dog park to be built in Brand or anywhere else for that matter, you're going to have injuries. You're going to have dog deaths. You're going to have dogs that have been maimed and possibly injury to people, children. Who knows? Because once a massive dog fight starts, it's difficult to break up, and people get injured trying to do it. So I urge you to consider the safety issue as well as all the other aesthetic issues, neighborhood issues. We've been here since 2005. This park next door is one of the nicest amenities we have, and throwing a dog park in there.
Mr. Moorfield, I'm sorry to cut you off, but your 3 minutes is up.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. George Aluzzi, you're on with the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, for taking my call. Yes, so much has been said already, so I won't repeat. I've lived in Glendale for 25 years. I am a lifelong dog owner. I own 2 dogs. I live on Mountain Street, right next to Brand Park, and we walk our dogs in the park twice a day. Beautiful locations, so many gorgeous trails, and I just do not see the need to take away that last open space for this purpose. Like the gentleman before me said, I was going to bring up the safety and liability issue as well, too. I've worked with many dog trainers. I have some experience in dog training myself, too, and there's just study after study that says it is a bad idea. Oftentimes, these dog parks are used by a kind of a smallish collection of people, and the dogs there develop a kind of pack mentality and do not take well to newcomers. And besides that, the location of the park and the neighborhood that it's in, the lack of parking, I mean, it just can't support people driving in from other areas to use the dog park. So I am against it. And also, yes, I wanted to say, too, that I didn't receive any kind of notification. I saw a little poster, walking my dog in the park about a meeting, but that's it. So, and talk about, the big demand. The online responses, there were only like a few hundred responses. So is there really that big of a call for this? There may be. I will never use a dog park, but I know people like it. I just do not think Brand Park is the location for it. So thank you very much.
Thank you for calling. Cammie Leonard, you're on with the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for hearing the community voice on this topic. I am a Glendale resident. I live right down the street from Brand Park, and I, too, am opposed to a dog park at Brand Park for all the reasons that everyone before me has shared. This has already been compromised by 2 baseball diamonds, and the flat area next to the tea house is the last flat area left in Brand Park for all of the people to enjoy. Additionally, I attended the August 2nd meeting at Brand Library. I just happened to walk by and see that sign and attend, and I was very concerned by the process being done by RJM, their feasibility study. As someone who had many concerns about having a dog park at Brand Park, I felt my voice was silenced. I was not heard. There was no opportunity for that at the meeting. and people were bringing their dogs into the beautiful Brand Library, and the whole thing was a bit chaotic. So I have concerns about how this process has been approached. The research, clearly, as we've heard alternative statistics today by homeowners and community members, the statistics presented by RJM clearly are not accurate to the Glendale community. I'd be curious to know how many people who participated in that actually live in Glendale and are taxpayers and have elected you lovely officials. So those are my concerns. Also, the cleanliness of the park is a huge problem. I live just down the street from Brand Park. I bring my kids, and almost every single time we're there, we're having to avoid dog feces. There are some very respectful dog owners, but our experience over the years is that the majority have not been respectful to the park. They don't pick up after their dogs, and they let very dangerous breeds of dogs off the leashes. And my fear is attracting more people of those temperaments to the park who do not respect the park itself and also the residents visiting the park. So there are a lot of concerns here. I think you've heard them, and thank you very much for listening. We appreciate you paying attention to all of this.
Thank you. Lisa Yasao, are you on? You're on with Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You have 3 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk. I agree wholeheartedly with everybody opposing the Brand Park location. I'm a dog owner. I'm there once or twice a day myself with my dogs for the last 20 plus years, and I was, anyway, I feel that any community outreach was negligent in getting the word out to the whole neighborhood, as we've just heard from the speaker so far, because it did take me and others, Holly and Joel, going door to door with flyers, just informing people. So but the main thing is general park goers' needs are being ignored. And I was at the so-called workshop on August 2nd, and it was so skewed to only be a positive outcome for dog owners to have a park, to have their park there, that anyway, I would question what a general vote would be when people are more informed, especially in the direct neighborhood. South Glendale, I know, is a denser community and more apartment buildings and fewer spaces for dogs. So I would think that would be a positive thing if it can work out with the size of the location and work out with the site for parking and other amenities. But anyway, thank you for letting me agree with what's already been said by the other speakers.
Thank you for calling. Mary Baldwin, you're on with Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You have 3 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners. Good afternoon. I would like to speak about South Glendale. I live near Palmer Park. I live on Adams Hill. And I noticed a few years ago that the gardening section was pretty much abandoned. And so I took pictures of it completely abandoned. And I think Patty Silversher had the best idea. You can reconfigure that gardening section, put all the gardening plots on one side and there's new gardening plots, by the way, that I've seen that are U-shaped that would actually probably give you more gardening space. Put a little fence between them, and then you would have a perfect small dog park. And because we're Adams Hill and we want to think outside the box, because it's already gated, it would be a perfect venue to make sure that the rules are enforced. I live in South Glendale, and I also oppose the Brand Park site because I have taken my dogs up there, the unofficial dog park, and there's so many dogs not neutered. That creates problems. So I got to say, it's very rare that you're going to get a South Glendale person to oppose something in a different park. But anyway, back to South Glendale, we have no tree canopy like the northern parts of Glendale. Our sidewalks are too hot. I had to turn my dogs around today because I came upon 2 coyotes in the hills, and I didn't want that kind of chaos. We have a dense population of apartment dwellers with small dogs. Palmer Park reconfigured would be perfect, not as it was shown on the map or whoever designed it to be the front half of the park. It should be lengthwise. Also, the Glendale College campus, Glendale College took out an entire neighborhood of homes and trees, and what's left is this perfect large dog park, which would be great to walk to. We need a park. Well, we need a lot of parks, but we need something we can walk to. I'm not driving up to La Crescenta anymore. There's too many unneutered dogs. The rules aren't enforced. I would prefer to be able to take my dog to a local park, look at the price of gas. I'm not driving. It's just ridiculous that we don't have more opportunities down here for all kinds of parks. Palmer Park is almost not a park anymore. It's a playground. It's too much concrete. It's very loud. The skate park is loud. Having small dogs inside a safe area, separated from the gardening, which is very rare to see people in there, would be perfect. So thank you, and good luck.
Thank you. Michael Salter, you're on with Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for your time. Many things have been said today that I would want to agree with. I am against the dog park in Brand Park. We live in a county with about 10 million people, and this is a unique property. It is a sanctuary, the tranquility, the serenity. So much so that my family has lived in Santa Monica for about 105 years, and yet I am a regular visitor to the tea house. My wife has come with me, my children. I have family that lives 400 miles away, and yet when they come to town, I make a point to bring them to the tea house to view the gardens, the koi ponds, and enjoy the park as it is. And so I agree with many of the people who spoke before. I think almost all of them live in Glendale. And so allow me to have given you a unique perspective for someone who lives quite a distance away and yet makes the trip there to see, the uniqueness of this historic landmark. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for calling. Last caller.
Okay, we had one person that was not.
We have one more. This is the last caller. Yes, no problem. Janine Calver, you're on with Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. Can you hear me? Janine Calver, can you hear me?
I think almost all of them live in Glendale.
Janine, please turn off your TV or mute your TV. Can you hear me?
Away, yet makes the trip there the uniqueness of this historic landmark.
Janine, can you hear me? You're on with the commission right now. Can you hear me? I dropped it.
Thank you. Is Radon Pachana in the room? Okay, thank you. That's all the talk or comments, and now we can turn into discussion for ourselves.
Yeah, President Meek, before the discussion, if I may, there were a couple of points raised by the community, and I just wanted to address one or two of them, just to, clarify. There were a few members of the community that mentioned about the advertising and the notification. So we follow through the normal process of advertising as we do, our website and all the groups that we communicate with, including the flyer itself was emailed to the HOA to share with the membership. We also sent flyers to the individuals that live within 1,800 feet of the property line, which added to about 737 addresses immediately surrounding Brand Park. And lastly, the posters that were put up. And that wasn't on RGM. That was the city that did the advertising. So I want to make sure he's not getting the beating for that. But all the neighbors within the surrounding community up to 1,800 feet from the gate, the entrance, were notified by their addresses with the flyer. And the HOA was notified to share the flyer and the meeting notice with the public. The other comments were specific to people let their dogs off leash unofficial at Brand Park. That is a very true statement. That's also what we've experienced. Individuals do bring their dogs to Brand Park and let them run without a leash. It is not a dog park. They're supposed to have it on leash. And I truly appreciate the residents who spoke that continue to keep their dogs on leash when they take them to Brand. That is our ordinance, and we ask the residents who are taking their dogs off the leash to let them run freely at this point, because right now Brand Park is not yet a dog park, to continue to follow the rules and keep the dogs on leash. And then I'm sure you'll have questions. We'll try and address them. I just want to touch on the advertising, that if they live nearby, within at least down to the next block and several blocks over, all those residents were sent flyers. That yes, the flyer did have a dog park on there, and it did clearly state that we're holding a meeting specifically for dog parks, conversation about dog parks at Brand for that community, and then similarly down south.
Thank you. Okay, Sal, shall we start with Susan?
I would actually propose if we could have our young ones, let's put them at the stake and let them go. Let's hear their thoughts first. And I think you should.
Yeah, well, I can see that a lot of, well, I haven't ever been to Brand Park, but I can see that the people that live near there don't want the park, and I'm totally for it because I love dogs, and I think if the right people with the right dogs go to the parks and, go with the rules and don't walk them without the leash outside of the park, it'll not be that big of a deal because there's parks everywhere else. And I understand that it's a historical place and you guys love to go there, but if there's like a reason to make a new dog park, then I think you guys should try and understand that as well.
Alrighty. So I know that in Glendale, many people like to go out, walk their dogs, walk to the parks, and I hear that there isn't an adequate dog park for those individuals who want to take their dogs out, and that concerns me because I know Glendale has a lot of apartment complexes on Brand, throughout Palmer, through that area. I have relatives who live there, and I know that we have the mini park and Palmer Park close by, but there isn't that dedicated space where the dogs can go and maybe run around and get some exercise, because some people have big dogs and some people have small dogs. So I think, in my views, Palmer Park sounds favorable only because I know that there's a lot of activity in that park, and it's already loud, and it might be a good place to keep that loudness. I know in Brand Park we have a lot of historical sites, a lot of people opposing that area. Also, the GCC site to me seems very small. I don't know exactly how that would work as far as parking. It's very impacted, I think, already. And so my view, I think, is Palmer, but I think definitely dog park is necessary in some way, shape, or form, just to have that place for dogs to let loose and run.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I still feel like Lot 11 is the best place for a dog park because it's located near a lot of density and a lot of people who don't have any space available, and it would also provide additional park space in South Glendale, which is my goal. That's been my goal, and I think it's odd that council, after our recommendation, and they voted in favor of it, and the public was clearly in favor of that spot, and now all of a sudden we're having a consultant come and talk about 3 different locations. It seems odd to me. It muddies the water unnecessarily, but that's just one commissioner's opinion. I found it interesting that the callers are in favor of using Palmer Park. Initially, I was very opposed to putting anything there because it's so small and the space available is so small. But these callers had a really terrific idea of having Palmer Park be for small dogs and then having the larger dogs have a location elsewhere. And I think that's something that we should consider possibly, or possibly maybe have large dogs at Lot 11 and small dogs at the GCC site, one or the other. That would get around this idea of the minimum acreage that's available or needed. And both of those sites have adequate walkability, adequate parking, and they're close to where people need this amenity. I'm a big fan of doing what people want. And clearly, people near Brand Park don't want a dog park in that park. And so it's not what I want, it's what they want that matters, because they're the people who are going to be the most impacted by it. And that's just kind of how I roll. Of course, we only make a recommendation to the city council. We don't have that much power, but my personal feeling is that I would recommend to the council that they respect the wishes of the people that are going to be the most impacted by anything that they consider doing. Finally, I just want to say a couple more things. I'm sorry to take so much time. When I had my dog, he unfortunately sadly passed away almost 2 years ago. And I love dogs. I love animals. When I'm walking around, just walking now, and I see a dog, I'm like, I want the dog to come and visit with me. Sometimes the owner shoos me away or doesn't want that. But anyhow, when I had my dog, I maybe took him to a dog park once or twice the entire time I had him because he was small and I was concerned about possible aggression toward him and also being a little germophobic. I was also concerned about him picking up something, getting sick, or what have you. I did take him to Crescenta Valley Park at least once that I remember, and it was a satisfactory experience. I'm not sure, I'll be honest with you, I think people had dogs for centuries and there were no dog parks. Somehow that worked out okay. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm not against a dog park 100% categorically, but I do think that we should respect what people want in the neighborhood. So thanks.
So first of all, I appreciate what you said. We're here to kind of listen to our neighbors and kind of go with what they want. First, to RJM's credit, I do know a number of people that live within a very close distance from Brand Park who have personally reached out to me, but I do know that they did receive some of the notifications. I know I live a couple of blocks away, closer to the Burbank side, and I didn't receive it, but I'm way further away than the 1,800 feet, so I do know that people have received that. Now, with that being said, I think it's As much as we'd all love to open up a lot of spaces, and if you asked me, I would put basketball and soccer fields everywhere. But at the end of the day, that limited space on Brand Park is very, very limited. I myself, having to drive that route every single day, including on weekends, that is really the only site within Brand Park that people kind of just can sit on the ground, picnic, have younger kids run around without the fear of them tipping over, because the other side of the east side of Brand Park is a little bit more hilly. So outside of the toys or the playground area, the kids don't really have a space. So I'm definitely against anything on the Brand Park side of it. As far as Palmer Park, and throughout my last 3 years or so on the commission, I think the community gardens are very, very important. A lot of elderly community members do use those sites. So I think that anything that cuts away or gets rid of those gardens, I would be opposed to. Now, having multiple sites with multiple, sized dog parks, I would be okay with, so long as the community members, and clearly those that live on the Adams Hill side, want, and there's a need for, a couple of dog parks in that area. So without a doubt, if we could take RJM's recommendation, that mixed with the Lottie 11 and Glendale College, we might be able to make the members of the community in those areas a little bit happier by providing them spaces. Now, as far as the safety and concern, I've personally seen at the Griffith Park dog park 2 different attacks, one smaller dog trying to attack a big dog, and then 2 big dogs going at each other the last few years. And I think that, although it's concerning, ultimately it's the dog owner's decision to take their dogs over there. So as the city, that's not necessarily our problem. It's members of the community that have dogs and take them there. That's on them. So my only concern is, how do we distinguish what's a big dog, what's a small dog, and determine, well, which dog is allowed to do there, to be at a specific park, and more importantly, how do we monitor that? I think that, that's just something for all of us to think about. If I have, and I've owned 2 German Shepherds in my life, so if I take my German Shepherd to a dog park, what if it's a puppy? Is my dog still considered a big dog? Because in the future it's going to be big. There's a lot of questions, so that's something that is a bit of a concern. But I think that, utilizing Glendale College and the Lot 11 would be a lot better for us. And lastly, and I think that's something that I'd like to ask Director of Parks about, is for Brand Park, if there is really a need for anything on Brand Park, why was that specific site chosen as far as just directly below the tea house? Because I know that up Brand Park Boulevard, is that I think it's called Brand Park Boulevard, right? Or would that the driveway that kind of, let me pull it up on the map real quick.
It's called Brand Park Motorway, Brand Park Drive.
Right. So just northeast of the doctor's house, as you go up, there's like a big plot of land. Now, it's definitely not flat, and I think it would be very costly to try to flatten that out. But something like that, because then that way it would be further away from the homes. It's right next to the wash that's directly to the east of that. But if it's, if it's important for us to do that, maybe something away, but I would definitely not touch the proposed area right now.
President Meek, Commissioner Sarvega, members of the commission, so specifically that south lawn was selected because it is open space and it gives you about an acre of a size, which is kind of been the goal too, if you are going to design a park, to make sure you have enough space to create playability for not just the dogs. Dogs don't go to the park themselves. People that take the parks do have ability to actually relax in the park while their dogs are playing, and they're socializing as well as the dogs are socializing. And I know the question you brought up, the Palmer Park one, I wholeheartedly agree with you that Palmer Park is, my professional opinion, after doing this 20 years, and my last recommendation before I depart will be to urge you not to consider Palmer Park, because you are going to be displacing 50 elderly individuals who do have that community garden. Now, community garden was down during the COVID years, So for about 3 years, it was not active. It is active. All 50 plots are assigned. And there are individuals who use it to get out of their house and actually garden. So I would urge you not to consider that. The layout RGM had done, just a little square, shows a very small area. And that isn't. If you do pick Palmer Park, it isn't what the layout is going to be. That wasn't designed. That was just to show you, is it feasible? It could be, but it's only going to give you about 4,500 square feet, which might be smaller than this room. You might get a couple of dogs running around, be more of a private dog park for individuals. So that I would stay away from. The two other sites you mentioned does provide ability. Yes, they're smaller. GCC lot, roughly about what, half an acre. Parking lot 11, about a half an acre. They're not quite 1 acre, but the one thing they do is they add green space, like Commissioner Wolfson was saying, in an area that requires it or needs it most. And they are not right now parks. One is an asphalt, the other one is just open area waiting to be developed. So they're two ideal sites, and I leave you to communicate and discuss about your choices and your points on Brand Park. But if you're in your thinking process, please note that the community garden is active. You have 50 seniors that use it, and you're going to get them very upset if you decide that's going to be a site, and it's not really feasible anyway. If you look at RGM's report, that's the only site that was, what's the term used? It's not suitable at all. The other two sites were less than desirable. Do they have issues and challenges? Yes. Are they not the right size? Parking might be an issue. They're less suitable, but we can put mitigating measures. For this particular one, the findings are it is not suitable. So I would urge you to continue discussing the other options that might be available for our commission.
Thank you for answering that. Yeah, that's my spiel on.
Would you like to say anything? Okay.
For me, I've been a long-time resident of Glendale, and the Brand Park is a treasure for the city of Glendale. I think a park for a dog park should be a lone location, lonely, somewhere we have to find somewhere, so we don't bother the residents of the area also from the noise and the dirtiness. And we already, if we have any space, we're looking for developing new parks. I've been on the commission over 10 years. We can't find a space to develop soccer fields or basketball fields. We have to find somewhere far away, maybe from the residents, for the dog park. As far as people owning dogs, we own people. We walk them through the streets on a leash. Every morning when I'm walking on the Kenneth Road, everybody walks their dogs through there or the park and so on. So my recommendation is don't touch the Brand Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Did have a few clarification questions for Mr. Is it Muni? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Okay, thank you. I was looking at the map of dog registrations, right? Because the surveys and workshop results both, excuse me, determine that people will go to a park if it's nearby, right? So naturally, we want to try and maybe locate, if possible, the park where the demand is. I wanted to ask what boundary lines you used for that map, because they look pretty big. It looks like that whole, east side all has dogs and all wants a dog park. So if you can clarify, that would be great, whether that's zip code or...
So it is based off zip code, so that was data provided by the Pasadena Humane Society.
Okay.
I would note that I think it transitioned from the city to the Pasadena Humane Society about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And I did note the previous time I could find data was back in 2006.
Okay.
And there was about 10,000 registered dogs at that point. And so I'm not clear if the drop, so now half the amount of registered dogs from in that 15-year period, if it's from the transition out of Glendale providing that notice and following up about the registrations.
Right.
And so just knowing that it may not represent all the dogs, but it is based off zip code. And then we did project it based off like a quartile. So it's broken down based off of percentages of dog residents in those areas.
Okay. Okay.
That are registered.
And so I guess it dropped down to about 5,000, you said? And you're not sure if that is because the registration just transferred hands into a different program, and so we might not have...
It's just not as responsive.
Gotcha, okay. Understood. My thought was it would probably be easier to maybe locate where our registrations are if it was a heat map. That's just a note. I was looking at the survey results. It's sort of just to, for myself, make it clear who was opposed, who was against. The results were, I think, about 270 surveys, right? And you provided the numbers of who was in support for the 3 sites, Brand, GCC, Palmer. None of them were overwhelming when I converted those to percentages, right? I think Brand was 149.
That was total.
Right. 149 out of 268 is about like 50%. For GCC, it was about 113, which is about like 41%, and Palmer, which was 103 for Palmer, was about 37%. So is that?
I did not convert the percentages, but yes, roughly
right,
speaking.
Okay. Right. So, I mean, I'm just confirming the data, and again, it doesn't seem like any of them necessarily had any like overarching support for any of the sites based on the surveys we received. I also, based on the rankings, right, that you provided of suitable versus not, I guess it's hard to, if none of them are necessarily more suitable than the other, it's kind of hard to propose or recommend any of them. So I do want to hopefully maybe give you an opportunity to just share with us if you feel like one is more suitable than the other. Deputy Director Panosian voiced his opinion.
I very much appreciate that. It's, not being a resident here, it is not up to me to have a feeling on the subject matter. I have to look at it impartially, and I can only represent what I hear from the community. It was a qualitative sample size, so I represent that information. That then I also do represent it in terms of professional design criteria, and that's how we ranked those sites. As 2 of them were less than suitable, 1 of them was not suitable. So it's really not my feeling or opinion in that matter. I am pretty adamant, though, our recommendations does stand. Any one of those sites individually will not support your demand.
Okay. Okay, biggest takeaway. Okay. I also wanted to maybe ask you for more information about what a dog park, an ideal dog park, based on the information you provided, would look like, particularly for like an urban setting like South Glendale. You say 1 acre is ideal. I have seen sort of like neighborhood dog parks in other parts of LA. I think one of the callers called in about the Eagle Rock Dog Park, which has a space for both small and large that maybe isn't ideal, but is there an example of a successful smaller half-acre neighborhood-sized dog park that isn't a regional destination, that doesn't need additional parking necessarily, but is to specifically serve its neighbors who can walk there?
So there are successful dog parks of all sizes.
Okay.
But it's based on demand.
Right.
So if there's a smaller demand, a smaller dog park or a small dog run area would be suitable for smaller apartment communities. Not many dogs, not many users. I have visited many, many dog parks in my travels as a dog owner, also as a designer of dog parks. And I will tell you, it is always based on that demand, based on the materials, based on the design of the facility, But it always comes down to, if you have an overwhelming demand in a small dog park, that maintenance goes through the roof. In times, it's more so than you can catch up with. Just to give you an example, successful dog parks that I see are ones that have a high level of maintenance. Most often turf dog parks, the turf is replaced once a year. And that's just through normal wear and tear. So there is a maintenance level that is required of dog parks, but it's always based on use, based on materials, based on the local demand of that community. So there are successful dog parks that are smaller. There are successful dog parks that are much larger. There are regional destinations. There is a dog beach in Huntington Beach. You know, I can't replicate that anywhere else. I have to have an ocean. That one's specific. So there are examples, but it always comes back to the size of the community demand. You have a high demand here.
Right, okay. Thank you. Let's see. I do appreciate, I think that's it for my specific technical questions, so thank you so much, Mr. Muni. I do appreciate everyone taking the time to come out of your busy schedules to call in and voice your opinions, concerns, thoughts on this matter. I feel indifferent about converting any of our existing park space to another use when I know that both Brand Park and Palmer Park are heavily utilized, especially the sites that were proposed for this project, or projects, potentially. And I've been in both spaces where they're super packed. So I don't feel inclined to convert them, again, to a different audience, maybe. However, I do agree with some of my other fellow commissioners' opinions that, we want to look at other sites in South Glendale to see how we can add public space, green space, to the area. I live, actually I grew up, my family house is still there. My family still lives there, maybe 2 blocks from the GCC Garfield campus. I was there when, they took down some of the houses and displaced a few people. And I would like to definitely see that campus turn into a more open space that serves the community. So I will say that, just to be frank now, I would not support something at Brand or Palmer. I would support looking at something at Glendale Community College. I would also like to propose that we also move forward with Lot 11 and include that in a recommendation to council, so that gets started ASAP. Yep, thanks.
I'll have a few questions myself. My first question would be, is it possible to have a dog park that is on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, large dogs, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, small dogs?
I have not seen a park program.
Because I was thinking none of our choices were the size you want for both. So I was thinking maybe we could do something like that. Is that a possibility?
I have not personally seen a park program that way, a dog park programmed with separate days for separate sizes.
Okay. And this may be more to the city than to you, how do we make sure that the dogs that use the park are licensed? What department does that?
President Mick, that's an exceptional question. It goes with answering both questions you asked and what Commissioner Sardabrigyan has said earlier. We will not be staffing the sites. So as far as making sure it's a small dog or a large dog, are they using it? And as well, like on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday versus the opposite days, having small dogs and larger dogs, unless, you actually staff it regularly to have somebody like we have for example, at the skate park, check in for either permitted dog parks, licensed dogs, owners to come in and be able to use it for the size. Unless you do that, then you will not be able to address the questions that you have. So no one will be confirming that these dogs are licensed and they're registered.
Okay. And what is proper maintenance of a dog park?
That would depend upon the materials that you're going to utilize for the design of the dog park, whether it's turf, mulch, DG, decomposed granite that's stabilized, or I've even seen some dirt areas, whether that was their original intent or that's what happened to them. I've seen those materials, but it all depends on what you install in terms of the materials of the dog park. Then what, if RGM was doing that, we could prescribe a specific level of maintenance.
So if our dog park, say, I'm going to just bring up dog parking lot 11, if that was mostly decomposed granite, and then maybe one small area that was turf, actual turf, grass, because I know the dogs I know love to roll around on grass. If it was mostly decomposed granite, what would maintenance entail for something like that?
If you're looking at an average level of maintenance, we'll say it's sizable enough to meet a demand. You're going to look around rough numbers, maybe $1,500 to $2,000 a month. But again, it would have to be based on the design criteria, the size, and the usage.
Okay. And that would just be maintaining the ground level and cleaning up, that sort of thing?
General maintenance of facilities, no repairs.
Okay.
Round numbers.
I've had numerous people approach me about the safety of dog parks, and I've heard people bring that up here today on being spayed or neutered. If a dog is licensed, is that taken care of if they apply for a license, or is that totally separate? Does anyone know?
President Meek, I cannot answer that question. I do not know whether they get their permit if they're licensed or if they're spayed or neutered or not. I can't say.
I can answer it. There is no requirement. All they care about the license. They don't care about what they are.
You might get a price break on the license if the dog is neutered or spayed, but you can still have an unaltered dog.
Okay. Wow. Okay, I myself am feeling like negative on Brand Park because that is the last open, clear space. When I visited Brand Park recently, just to spy things out, I went to the east side beyond the children's playground where they used to have basketball courts. And in that area, I'm not sure how much land the city still owns beyond that mulch pile. There's a motorway that goes up a ways. And I thought, well, maybe if we move it up there, it could have its own parking lot as well as a dog space. But I don't think anything like that was thought of when we were thinking of what potential areas. So I would like to go back and look at other potential places for a dog park. I like the fact that GCC is open to putting a dog park in there. I realize it's a quid pro quo, and like they want to use some of our baseball fields. But I think we could look again for other locations for a dog park besides the ones that, you know, we've specifically looked at right now.
Since you're up here, I have a follow-up question. I just want to know, in the surveys and the community meetings that you had, do you calculate like residents' favorability on the park? Like, will they go just once because they want the dog park, or will they keep going? And how do we, I guess, factor that into if it's worth to build a dog park? Because I know personally for myself, when I took my big pit bull to the dog park, you know, he's big, but he's a baby. And when he got, you know, kind of attacked and scared, we don't take him back. So it's only once. And so my concern is if we're going to impact the community, and Palmer Park is so small, as you said, Mr. Panosian, I'm trying to understand like how exactly it's calculated, the usability of the park, you know, by the residents.
Say trip generation. So we ask the residents how often do they go to a dog park, and that the assumption is if they're going to a dog park so many times a week, month, yearly, annually, whatever their response was, that is going to continue to be the case when a dog park is developed here within the city.
President Meek, members of the commission, in regards to other locations, we've been looking at a number of locations for the last probably 4 or 5 years. A couple years ago, we did come to a commission regarding Pelanconi Park. Camino San Rafael, that was a site over in west east side of the city. We have some open space there that is used by a few beekeepers. And then we also looked at the north end of Brand, the old Brand Day Camp area. These 3 sites we did bring to council, and they did have some concerns regarding, for example, Pelanconi, close to neighborhoods, right across the street from residential area, Camino San Rafael, far from everything, and then the north end of the Brand Park by the day camp area, that was a newly renovated area where, Coco and his team worked on. We currently have our summer concert series there in the library, and there are other plans there to make it more of an arts destination instead of a dog park. There's also behind the caretaker house at Brand, there's a road leading up to open space here. We looked at that. Developing that area, we're looking at millions to run infrastructure, roadway, pathway, and ADA accessibility. So that area is off the table as well. So we have been looking at sites the last 4 or 5 years for dog parks.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Follow-up question. I guess my only concern with the GCC location is because it's prime real estate, right? Is if we're going to lose this opportunity to just make a park for everyone, right? I do know that Maple Park's nearby, Palmer Park's nearby. There's a few neighborhood parks also nearby. And I'm wondering if there's any insight from the department you can share if, this would be a lost opportunity to turn it into an actual park versus a dog park.
Commissioner Eichelzar, President Meek, and members of the commission. So in conversation with GCC at that site, I think there's some intention to incorporate some benches in a small area within that half acre to have a small, not necessarily mini park, but also a park setting that students can enjoy and members of the public can enjoy as well. So we fence a smaller area off for the dogs to play around and have it kind of a joint small mini park areas and as well as a dog park area. Yes, I mean, again, South Glendale is very park poor. You mentioned some of the other facilities. I wasn't sure if your question was, have we looked at maybe Maple Park being considered as dog? Okay, I want to make sure that wasn't the question because my response is going to be any open space park that you choose that is currently being used by the community and or the general concept of communities not wanting dog parks in their backyard, as you heard from our friends and resident at Brand Park, you're going to get the same issues that come up. So, but I'm glad that wasn't your question. It was more an opportunity. And yes, in our conversations, we're looking at that GCC site kind of playing a dual role, an area for dogs to play, an area for people to come and sit. I mean, any dog park with design is going to end up having people area as well. So it's going to be joint because, again, like I said earlier, it's been, and we're looking at the last 5 years. Last 5 years, we've been actively looking, but the conversation of the dog parks have been going on since we were both started working together.
Yeah, since
I believe 18 years
2004.
ago. 18 years ago, this thing started, and we've been looking. And each time we bring up a situation or facility, it will literally take away space from people using it for a purpose and repurposing it. And it's always been kind of the negative point of keeping us away. So now that we've identified other opportunities and sites, and some may not be as feasible, and the residents expressed their concerns for Brand, it's up to you. We told the residents very clearly, I believe you were there, President Meek, this is not going to be an easy decision. And I know there are folks who have mentioned Brand Park is ideal. They'd like to see a dog park at Brand. We know the residents are opposed to it. We also know it's not going to be an easy decision. We told everyone that we're not going to make everybody happy when we have a final decision. There's just no way when you're in the public sector, you have opposing opinions. People feel strongly about them. And every opinion matters. Makes your job a little harder to make that determination and give us your recommendations. So good luck.
No, thank you for that clarification about there being a space for, just people to relax as well. I'm a little more convinced, so okay. Last question, I promise, was about environmental impacts, if specifically for the GCC location, right? Because I believe it'll be a change of use, and I'm sure there's, we've heard about noise and all of that. So would that potentially disrupt our project here if we were to recommend it?
So I did check in with the planning department on this, and so it is zoned residential 2250 is, I guess, the zoning type for it. And it does allow for public parks and playgrounds within the zone, so we wouldn't actually have to change the zoning for that site. And obviously, the other park sites are existing parks, so that wouldn't qualify. Regarding CEQA, they said it would likely be a categorical 4 exemption for that site because it's a minor alteration to land. And so they were saying that it likely wouldn't necessarily trigger it. Potentially, depending on the type of funding that we use to fund the park, it may require at least an initial study. But likely the only issue may be because of the noise. Maybe the only factor we may have to analyze further is what they mentioned.
Okay. I'm convinced.
Favorable.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion, if I may. First of all, I'd like to move that we approve the feasibility report and that we recommend to council that they not have a dog park at Brand Park or at Palmer Park, but that they move forward with developing dog parks at Lot 11 and at Glendale College.
In bold.
Maybe divide into different size dogs and make that very clear signage indicating that. Yeah, I mean, the bit about signage is my
I will
editorializing.
second your motion.
Is there discussion?
President Meek, I was just going to ask, do you guys want to take both motions together or as 2 different items? So there's 2 different motions. One is a motion approving the draft dog park feasibility study report, and then the second one is the recommendation.
Yeah, I guess 2 motions. I was looking at the agenda and it looked like it was one thing, but 2 motions is fine.
Okay, so we'll take the first motion of approving
Approve
the feasibility study
Approve the
first.
feasibility study.
And you continue your second
Second,
for the feasibility.
For the feasibility study.
yes, feasibility, yes.
And could we have roll call on that one?
Sure. Commissioners Kalfayan,
Yes.
Alcazar,
Yes.
Sardar Begin,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes.
President Meek.
Yes.
And it is my understanding the ex officios do not don't vote on the items. They just provide their comments. So just for clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second motion, that we recommend that City Council move forward with developing Lot 11 as a dog park and also developing Glendale Community College space that was discussed in the study as a dog park.
Should we add that we are opposing?
Right.
plan, just so that
We oppose the dog park in Brand Park and in Palmer Park.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call?
Commissioners Kalfayan,
Yes.
Alcazar,
Yes.
Sardar Begin,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes.
President Meek.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next item?
Next item, please.
Next item is 8 reports for information only. At 8A is Park Services Section Monthly Activity Report for July 2023. And we'll take them separately because I do have a speaker card, so for 8A.
President Meek, members of the commission, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and give Coco a pass since it's his last meeting. But we do have one comment card on item 8A.
Did you say B or A?
I'm sorry.
8A.
8A.
8A,
yes.
yeah.
Comment card on.
For clarification, we don't have PowerPoints prepared for this meeting because we knew it was going to be a long meeting. So unless there's any specific questions, but we're going to take them separately, 8A and 8B. So right now we're on Park Services Section Monthly Activity Report, which is the card that you have.
Did you have anything prior to the speaker?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
We got Grant Michaels.
Good afternoon, Commission and staff. My name is Grant Michaels. I'm a resident of Glendale and park goer and had the privilege of being a former commissioner watching many of Mr. Panosian's performances and presentations. While I'm disappointed I don't get to see one last one here today, due to time, I do understand, but I did want to come and express my well wishes to Mr. Panosian on his new adventure. I've known he has always wanted to direct, but I thought he would be going to Hollywood as he was honing his presentation skills. So I've come to wish you the best and look forward to better participation and coordination between our sister cities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Grant Michaels. Appreciate it so much. I thought you were going to come in and complain that the park's not looking great. He's like, but it's great to see you again. You look good.
Well, as you've said, you've already abdicated the throne, so I'll find someone else to complain to. I have great faith in the staff that you will be missed, but they will carry on in your absence, and they will go ahead and address the issues. I'm sure there will be plenty of time for complaining later and improvements, but wanted to leave you with a final well wish. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item?
Item 8B is Recreation and Community Services Section Monthly Activity Report for August 2023. Again, there's no presentation, but should Commission have any questions, we're happy to answer.
No question?
No question.
Okay, next item?
Next item is adjournment.
Yay. Oh, sorry. All right, we are adjourned at 5:22.